So, but I really am. I'm excited that you both had time. I know that there's so much going on, and you're both in constant calls with organizations out in the field. That Tonie and Glenn, I'm glad that you could set aside time to chat with me for just a moment about what's happening right now in the marketplace. So let's just kind of start. Tonie Howard, maybe do an introduction for the watching and listening crowd, and then Glenn follow.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Justin. This is Tonie Howard. I'm the Senior Vice President for the Food Banks team at RKD. I'm just really excited to be here, and it's changing on the hour. So we're just trying to keep up with everything.
Definitely changing on the hour. Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn McKinney, Senior Vice President over our rescue mission work. So helping inner city gospel rescue missions who reach out to people experiencing homelessness and our faith-led organizations.
Yeah. So the purpose for our time, and we're having a series of these conversations, is just to keep a pulse on what's happening with COVID-19. And as you both know, this is, Tonie, as you alluded to, it's changing hourly.
Yes.
And our friends in the field, nonprofit marketers, decision makers at nonprofits, are being impacted by this in many different ways. And they already wore a lot of hats. And so now we're wearing even additional hats, along with, in some cases, gloves and masks and whatnot. So, I want to start and talk about how this crisis is particularly troubling for the food insecure. And so, Tonie, what are you hearing from food banks in terms of the increase in need that they're experiencing right now?
Yes, it started out a little slow, but all of a sudden there's lots and lots of lines, and many of the reasons are, there's not as many community food banks. The grocery stores are not donating as much food, because people are going to the grocery store, they're eating in. Some may be in the panic mode and perhaps might be hoarding food and some supplies. Restaurants are closing, so some of those donations that the food banks used to rely on are not there any longer. Loss of volunteers, that are sorting the food and packing those much needed boxes. We definitely are seeing an increase in clients, especially with people that are living paycheck to paycheck. They tend to be hourly employees, and those are some of the positions that are temporarily, not available just because of all of the different places that are closing. School closures, that's a big need that we're seeing, that children are not getting the food that they typically would get at the schools, and then, elderly feedings. So there's just so many different facets that are going on that our clients are just trying to keep up with. So the food supplies are definitely dwindling.
Yeah, and Glenn, on the rescue mission side, there's some similarities, but also some different elements. What's happening in the rescue mission space in light of this COVID-19 crisis right now?
Yeah, the missions I'm talking to are all responding locally in their community. Similarly, a lot have said volunteer groups over a certain size aren't going to come in. They still have some individuals coming in to volunteer. I was talking to a mission director a couple of days ago, and he's got some folks staying in his mission, some residents who are part of a recovery program who are 60 plus. And so they're kind of creating an isolation space for safety for them with a 10-foot kind of radius, but that reduces the bed count. And then it was raining that night. So it's supposed to rain for the next couple nights up there. So, it's not just in a vacuum. It isn't just COVID-19. It's the ongoing work too. So that mission has only got so much capacity, and had less capacity on a night in the rain for other guests coming in.
Yeah, it's crazy the way that it is, and on the program side, like the impact. It's still early, right? I mean, we are just past really a week just past 7 days on this thing in terms of its significant impact, right? And so that's on the program side. On the fundraising side, we are seeing folks immediately step up and increase in donors. I know that there are, for many organizations, they're seeing disaster response style donations come in. Tonie, what are you seeing and hearing in terms of people stepping up and meeting this increasing need?
They are, for sure. I mean, we've been watching the news every morning. We're seeing that, team athletes and celebrities are all donating and advocating on behalf of organizations like Feeding America and our local regional food banks. It really is amazing to see all these communities banding together. We are seeing an uptick on donations on websites. Unfortunately, though, given the current predictions, this is likely going to go on a little bit longer than we had hoped for. So we do know that the need is going to be there, especially as we're not able to get out in public and do face-to-face fundraising or special events. So now is the time to really see what we can do together. Really don't focus on costs, but try to focus on sustainability as you are getting through this day by day.
Yeah. Glenn, I know you mentioned you've been on the phone with folks that are running, these rescue missions, and like I mentioned earlier, they already wear so many hats. And there's this 1 foot or 1.5 feet on the program side with the increasing need, and it's all hands on deck on that front. What is your counsel that you've been giving them in terms of what to do right now with respect to their fundraising?
Well, I think the first thing is like Tonie's saying, there's kind of a bump, but this is a marathon and not a sprint. We might see an initial response, which is beautiful to see, and is an encouragement on communities stepping up and helping people in their own areas. But the first thing is to communicate. Really, even before asking people to help, just put something on your website, have a COVID response page, have a light box, talk out in social channels about what you're doing. Make sure you're sharing. Don't forget to start at the beginning. And just communicate with people what you're doing, because a lot of interested people are going to say, my goodness, there's, what about this vulnerable population of people who are living on the streets without access to medical care, who are, in more at-risk populations. I wonder what the mission's doing. Mm-hmm. And they're going to jump on Facebook or, Twitter or different, or your website and say what's going on. So I think it's really important to make sure to communicate that to, like you said, there's so much program happening, but to take a look up and say, part of the role is to help in the community. So make sure you communicate, and then make sure you communicate the need and ask what people can do to help. And if that's to give, if that's to support you, even just to send in a note of encouragement, say, hey, I was thinking about the mission today and all that's going on there. Just let you know that I appreciate you, and I stand with you, or I pray with you, or just a simple note of encouragement too. So on the mission side, to make sure to communicate needs and communicate updates, and then on the community side to respond to that and play a part.
Yeah, Tonie, I assume it's very much the same on the food bank side. You mentioned, athletes, celebrities, et cetera, but then there's also been an increase in virtual food drives, right? Of people who are kind of rallying around, just creating their own personal fundraisers. Maybe speak to that and some of the other shifts in strategy that you're seeing.
Yeah, I've actually seen it in my own community here in Atlanta, right here where I live. We're doing a neighborhood community drive, so that was very heartwarming to me. Other things that I would recommend that we do is now is not the time to abandon your fundraising plan. Assess where you are and pivot where needed, and stay as strong as you can. We all know that crisis management always works better with a plan. So, listen to your trusted advisors, work with people, with a lot of people working from home. Technology is definitely your friend, just like now, leveraging videos, having webinars, even podcasts. And then, in your direct mail program, digital is obviously the go-to for quick updates. Like Glenn was saying, communicate, continually being transparent with your community and your sponsors and your donors. You can add inserts and PS to your direct mail. I know for some of our clients, we're even sending out a special urgent appeal just so that we can make sure that we have the funding, as some of those donated items are not coming through. The food bank will need to be purchasing those items for their clients.
Yeah, and you mentioned the technology. I saw this morning. So we're having this chat on Thursday, March 19th, and this morning here in the Dallas area where I'm based, North Texas Food Bank, who's one of the clients that we work with at RKD. So a good shout out to them that they've got a partnership with an organization called Shift Smart, and so it's allowing them to actually put to work people who are out of a job, right? In terms of helping collect or distribute, they're putting to work people back into their increased need for people who are finding themselves without a job, like from the service industry, so on and so forth. So really cool ways for them to use technology on the program side. Same thing on the fundraising side. I saw yesterday. Yeah, I mean, so all of our inboxes are flooded with every person that we've ever purchased something from and how they're handling this, right? But there is a distinct difference that you can look at those messages and see how people who are being more authentic, and especially from nonprofits, the authenticity that they're bringing about, how they're handling it, right? What they're doing, and then what the need is. And I think that, Tonie, you hit on that, is use the technology to talk about what you're doing and what you're going to need, because that's the only way for people to understand what's truly happening, right?
Exactly. And I do believe that community fund drives are good for the community. People need to keep busy, but the best way that we know that the community can help both the food banks and the rescue missions is to make a contribution financially. I mean, that the dollar is king. It goes a long way.
Yeah. So leverage technology, communicate. Glenn, you said it best, and you said it multiple times, so I'm going to repeat it. Communicate, right? Yeah, just keep talking, right? Keep talking to folks. Is there any examples that you would share that you've seen from rescue missions, Glenn, of things that you see them doing that you would share with others? Hey, this is a great tactical element to put in place immediately around communication.
Yeah, I saw a few good examples. I think Denver Rescue Mission's done a great job communicating from their leadership. I saw them send out an email to all interested parties who stay in touch with them, just about what they're doing in their response. And while there was some rational logistical information, there was also commentary that kind of was an encouragement to the community. And I think that just kind of speaks to their heart about who they are as an organization, that there is a lot of uncertainty, like Tonie was saying. We don't know what tomorrow holds. But we don't have to worry about that either, right? If we do what we feel is right and listen and follow the guidelines that are given, and I think Denver does a great job of that, of in their communications reflecting the truth and honesty and uncertainty of these times. And then I got a text yesterday from Phoenix Rescue Mission. Shout out to Phoenix Rescue Mission.
I got your mug and everything. That's awesome.
Yeah. And they sent out a text with a link to their update page and said, hey, here's what we're doing, and if you can, please help. And so I think just being present where people are, realizing that people are home, so a text might be a good thing. because people are kind of sitting around, and you can get right next to them onto their phone that way. So those are a couple good examples that I saw.
Yeah. And then I'll add one more. This is something that we actually did on our, we've created a Facebook group for our clients, and we had a watch party with a video. So you can upload video, but there's also a feature on Facebook within the group setting to where you can do a watch party. So it touches base with those that are a part of your group to let them know that, hey, multiple people are watching this thing at this exact time, right? So jump in. So it kind of drives a little bit of community. And I think that that's another super tactical, but very strategic thing that organizations can be leveraging to provide updates. And the videos don't have to be overproduced. I mean, I'm sitting in the kind of the Texas room of my house. Tonie, you're sitting at your house. Glenn, you're at your house. I mean, this is, we're all kind of duct taping this thing together, but it's about the authenticity of the communication far more than the production value. And so communicate and be real and be present. Those are great recommendations. Well, guys, I appreciate your time today. And I know that you have lots of other calls with folks that are out in the space that you're trying to touch base with. So I'll let you get to those, but I'm glad to see both of your faces, glad to know that you're both doing well, and look forward to chatting again very soon.
Yes, thanks, Justin. I just feel so honored and humbled to be able to work with these fantastic organizations. And I'm just so proud of what they've been doing and what they will be doing.
Absolutely. That's a great word.
Yeah. We serve the servants, and it's like we get to talk about what they're doing, because we work with people who are so inspiring.
Yeah.
And now we all know you have a Texas room. So
It's true. I'll give you a tour next time you're in Dallas.
Fantastic.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.